Well, welcome everyone. And in the world of AI, you just got to get yourself a little bit more greased up around the wheels and learning a little bit more and understanding and not really being afraid of it and leveraging it not only to get you more listings, but more business overall. Today, I have a good friend of mine, Rajeev, like as L5 would say, Rajeev, a man so great he only needs his first name, no last name needed. Right, Raji?
I don't know about that, but keep going, please.
But with us, Rajiv, and of course, Peter Boutros on our podcast today to dive into a little bit of AI and give us, a synopsis. I know, Rajiv, you run probably the most popular real estate AI YouTube and podcast currently, correct?
Yeah, so we started, by the way, Rajeev, my last name is Saja. So just for reference, if you need to look me up, there's probably a few Rajivs in the world, but Sajas, there's not many. But so when AI first launched in November 30th, 2022, Thanksgiving, I sort of dug in head first and I've not dug out really since then. But that January, a year after, I decided to. I was learning a lot about AI, but I found when I talked to agents, there was a huge gap in awareness of what you can do with AI and what agents thought was possible. So I embarked on a podcast journey, just like you guys have, to educate agents on making AI approachable and actionable for their business. So it's not a fire hose. It's really actionable intel that they can go apply, listen, go apply. And I interview agents and thought leaders across the country. So we're on episode 65 as we're talking here. So we're
Nice.
year two.
Year two. Now, tell me, Rajiv. I know about what's going on in the background, but what is your goal by the end of this year? What is your actual goals?
So my goal on the topic of AI is to build the most skilled agents with AI, an army of them by the end of 2025. And so that's my like bold, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG as we call it. And all the things I am working on tie into that goal. And I believe that when you're skilled with AI, two things happen: you serve your clients better, and you have time back to do better things. Maybe it's a work-life balance. I know we're like recording on a weekend here, right? Mm-hmm. There's things that you want to do that you really can do because you just don't have the time on your schedule. What if AI could give you back the gift of time? And the only way you do that is you become skilled with AI. And for me, Peter and Sharif, I've realized about a 30% boost in productivity in my role leveraging AI appropriately. So I'm sure we'll get into that as well. So
a lot of people that I know of are very threatened by AI. And I was speaking actually with somebody the other day, and I was just letting them know, like, hey, we might be adding this AI tool that's going to help automate some text messages and maybe follow up with leads. And they were like, that's very unfortunate. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I'm like, why do you think about it that way? So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, look, I think a few years from now, one thing is for certain: if you don't embrace AI, you're going to fall behind so bad that I think there's going to be separation season in 2025. Personally, I think we've had 2 years of run up of what is AI. Everybody's sort of aware of it. Every news article you read, there is some mention of AI, right? So you can't get away from it. But I do think there's separation season in 2025 where by the end of the year, the question is, as you're listening to this podcast, where will you be a year from now? Are you going to be skilled with AI so you can actually bring those efficiencies, productivity enhancements? But to your point, Peter, I do think jobs will evolve. And the way I look at it is, if you're sitting in front of a computer and your job is 100% in front of the computer, they will be impacted by AI. But as real estate agents, the business is human, right? You do business with people. So anytime you sit in front of a computer, I think if you focus on, can AI help me with this? And go in with a curiosity mindset, you'll be able to do more with less. I mean, all of us want to have assistants to do our work, right? To focus on what we love about real estate. But sometimes you can't afford an assistant. But welcome to AI. If you embrace AI, they're your assistants and they never sleep.
That's a great point. That's what I tell people too. If you actually just talk to AI as if it's your assistant, right? That's probably the best kind of prompting that you could do. And more detail is really what's needed. I mean, what's your advice with someone getting into like AI, say Chat GPT right off the bat,
Yeah.
how can they actually leverage it and understand how to use it?
And I think having AI as an assistant is a good place to start. I'm sure we can get into this, but I use it as a strategist, a thought partner. I'm sure we'll get there. But starting as an assistant, I think one of the things I've seen, I mean, you guys have seen social media posts and emails that come to you, and you can call out it's AI.
Yeah.
Like you can literally call them out because they're like Emoji Central, like you have Game Changer, Delve, all these things that ChatGPT loves to do. And I think the thing that you want to think about is AI doesn't suck, your prompts do. So if you think about how do you sort of get better with prompting, I sort of talk about a simple framework. So it's a real estate podcast. So what's a real estate podcast without some acronyms, right? So we'll give two acronyms today. One is 4Ps. So the first P of that is prime, which we're going to talk about next. I think that's the most important part of prompting. The next one is prompt. The second P is prompt, which is the instruction you're giving to AI. Most people go into AI, and I've done this. I'm sure you guys done. The first time when you got to access ChatGPT, write me something. Write a poem or write a listing description. Everybody's done a listing description at least once. So instruction to AI is the prompt, and then whatever you get out of AI, you don't just use it, you polish it. That's the third P, and then you choose to publish it. So that's the 4P framework: prime, prompt, polish, and publish. And then let's talk a little bit about prime, because that's, I think, the most important piece. I mean, even if you hired a human assistant, like a VA, technically, as of today, is a human assistant, right? It could be AI, but you don't then just give them a project to do without giving them context, right? So the context is what priming is all about. So the second acronym and the last acronym for the day is RISE. So if you think about, so R is role, and we'll give maybe a quick example once we're done with the framework. I is for input. Who's the audience you're writing for? All those details go under input. And then steps, what kind of steps you like to go through before you get to the end result. And then E is expectations or examples. So you give expectations, like, is it a blog post, 1,000 words? Is it a social media post? So give some expectations of the output. And if you apply 4P and RISE, I think you'll get so close to the end zone, as I call it, you'll be ready for a tush push with your AI output. I had to throw that in there, considering the easy.
I love it. I love the acronyms too. 4P and RISE. We'll definitely post that in the actual podcast below, so everybody can get that.
Yeah.
So that's your actual strategy when you're talking about prompting.
Prompting, yeah. So if you take a most popular example, like listing descriptions, let's take one example. How do you apply 4P and RISE at work? So think of RISE, right? So you're giving it a role. So you need so the role is you are an experienced copywriter with a lot of real estate property marketing expertise. Role, right? Input is one of the things that ChatGPT got known for is it just lies with confidence. Okay, it's getting better. And on that note, 2023 word of the year was hallucination in dictionary.com. It got popular because of AI. But so if you think about, so I don't expect it to know, and it doesn't know fair housing. So I like to call that out. Your expertise includes the understanding of the Fair Housing Act. Doesn't mean it knows it, but I'm going to call it out in the prompt, right? You can also say, do not reference age, race, sex, all the stuff that we get called out in fair housing. That is the input. If you don't give it, and you just give it, write a listing description, 1,000-word characteristics for 121 Main Street, and give it all the details, it's going to please you, but it's going to go off the rails. So that's where you apply the 4P and RISE, and you kind of go in there. And then steps is, if you're having it write a listing description, most MLSs have a character limit on listing description, so you want to kind of know that, feed that in. So, and then expectation is paragraph, conversational style, give it the tone. All that is in the input. The more you give it on the front end, the less work you have to do it on the back end with polishing. Make sense?
Yeah, no, I love that. It's funny because one of my VAs wrote up a listing description, and he's no longer with us because of that. He didn't even proofread it, but it was, I guess, like they're using a website that pretty much looks at the pictures, and based on the pictures will write the description. The AI, the AI wrote stuff about how beautiful the furniture is. There's a brown sofa with a coffee table and plants near the whatever, like, and I'm like, what is this person doing?
Yeah.
can at least reread the description. So, but I guess what you're saying is so true. Not just that you got to copy and paste and trust the AI fully. Like if you don't give them the right prompts, you got to make sure you at least proofread it, right? Like don't just copy and paste it.
Human in the loop, I always call it,
Yeah,
human in the loop. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That's great. We do use obviously AI for listing descriptions now, but we do prefer to use Jasper for writing listing descriptions. And I know there's like different tools for different scenarios. What does your tech stack look like, Rajeev?
So for most agents, I would suggest start with ChatGPT as your universal thought partner. It's the deal of the century. You should upgrade for $20 a month. Okay. And then I think over time, we teach prompting, the 4 Ps and rise, but then eventually you can build what I call as custom GPTs if you have the paid ChatGPT account. So you can program it all, and all you give it is an address and some details of the listing, and it understands fair housing, all of that, and it just produces it. So you don't have, but you need to learn the foundation before you can build the building, right? Which is custom GPT. So that's my foundation. Then the next one I tell people is, search is changing. I've not used Google in the last 8 months, just FYI, but I've not stopped searching. So the other free tool I recommend agents download is Perplexity. It's an AI search engine that's a conversational style. It's almost like me asking Sharif about something about real estate. He's not going to give me 10 blue links like Google does. He's just going to answer the question. That's Perplexity. Okay, it's a human AI search engine. So it's free. I have the paid version, but you can use it for free. No need to purchase that. And then you start moving into, I know, Sharif, you do a lot of video, right? So if you have video as your part of your business plan, there's some AI tools for video. Now, there's many in the space. Places to start, I use Captions AI. It's an app on your phone, and literally has teleprompter. It can convert it into different languages. It fixes your eye contact. Some of us have trouble looking at the camera. All of those, and it's $65 a year or $10 a month. Captions is phenomenal for video recordings, especially for phone video recording, vertical videos. And then I also use Opus Pro, which takes long form video and makes it short. Especially, you guys running a podcast, I do a podcast. I take the long form video recording and put it up there, and it gives me vertical clips a minute long and ranks it by score as to which one will go viral. And it ranks it 99 out of 100. That was a good hook, good message. And you can simply connect your socials, and it can go at a set time to social media.
That's
Imagine
great.
if I didn't have AI, somebody had to watch the 20-30 minute recording
Yeah.
and cut them up. I just know people don't have the time and or money and resources. So AI collapses time. So that's one thing. The other piece is training, or I call it standard operating procedures, especially if you're a team leader. We do a lot of training at the company, and we're ingesting some of these AI tools that basically you could record a video and it creates documentation automatically, and you don't have to create the documentation. Imagine how much documentation we've created, Sherry, if you have a new agent on your team. Lord, right? So there's a lot of training that happens, but it collapses. I think you could do SOPs and training documentation with AI in 10% of the time.
Wow.
So there's some tools like Scribe, Guide with 2Ds are good tools to look into for recordings and things for training purposes and SOPs. So I think if you start walking down that path, ChatGPT, another one, last one, images. Okay, ChatGPT is good at a lot of things, but it sucks at images. Like purely AI. I'm sure they're going to get an upgrade here soon. But DALL-E is like, if you want to get a pure AI image, use ChatGPT. But if you want a human image, don't use ChatGPT. There's a lot of other tools, and that space is changing overnight, literally. Canva has some AI facilities for imaging. I like Grok. If you want to looking for a free solution, Grok is the XAI large language model. Very human-like pictures. Gemini recently launched. I just did a video on my YouTube channel. You should check it out. Gemini from Google is free, and Imagen is their media model. So they've done some good job. So there's a lot of there. So if you do a lot of images, maybe you need to purchase a tool like Midjourney, which I have, where you learn that because you do create images every week, if that's your thing. So I think you need to identify, hey, I do a lot of video, focus on some video and tech stack. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's just so many information. Like I always see these ads or posts on other groups. Like, look at these are the 13 websites you need for AI, and it's just sometimes just overwhelming with
Overwhelming.
the amount of information out there, and it's just so hard to learn. Like, so what do you recommend somebody that wants to learn like which AI websites to go on for specific functions? Where should they start?
I think that's the challenge today in the industry, right? I am. It's This is not live, but I'll tease it out in your podcast. I'm working on an AI academy for real estate agents. That's going to be online. People can get certified, and it's an ongoing living thing because, as you know, whatever I said today might change 3 months from now. Give us the grace, especially with AI. Stuff changes. So there's a lot of tools, but I would start people. I mean, the best thing to do is you can't screw this up with ChatGPT. Okay, you might get bad output, but you can't screw it up. So the best way to have curiosity mindset, go into AI with a curiosity mindset, and then learn some basics and look at your business. Number one thing, just don't go in there and play. There's some play with AI, but you got to look at your business and say, what am I spending the most time on? And what do I like to do that I can't do because I don't have the resources? Those are two key questions you need to ask yourself. And then prioritize and go tackle one thing. Give you a simple example. You guys are doing a podcast. So I do a weekly podcast. So I record every week, at least one episode. So I said, it takes me about 45 minutes to prep for an episode, maybe 30 minutes if I know the guest really well, meaning how do I intro them, questions to ask based on their background and my focus on the podcast and the podcast titles. All those are things I need to prep for. Right? You guys do that too. So I used to spend 30 to 45 minutes. I said, you know what? I want to shrink that time to 5 to 10. So I built a custom GPT for podcast prep.
Wow.
Okay. And I simply give it my guest is Sharif Hatab, like as a name, and their website or LinkedIn profile, and that's it, the prompt. And it produces the three things I need that is literally at the 1 yard line. Takes me 10 minutes. So I save 30 minutes a week. So look at processes like that in your workflow. You may not do a podcast, but you get the idea of what I'm describing here. So that's what I would suggest you do. But a little bit of play is good. Use it for personal life, not just professional life. One more example I'll give you. I built a health GPT for myself, custom GPT. So based on my goals, all my numbers and stuff like that. So whenever I'm thinking about eating something, I go to the grocery store and I'm about to buy something new and I don't know if it's good for my health, I simply take a picture of the nutritional label, post it in ChatGPT, and it'll give me a score.
Mm.
So again, look at things that solve your problems and take time and shrink it with the power of AI.
No, AI definitely works. I have one of my teammates will actually print out an MLS sheet, highlight everything that's important, and then upload that into ChatGPT and say, tell me everything I should discuss with my client about this property.
100%.
And that's just leveraging AI just on another level. And really, it's about that. I mean, even in coaching, we tell people, what's draining your time? You need to focus your time and your energy on the most important activities. And anything that's really draining your time should be automated or having someone else do for you. And it's a great way to do that. I would love to see that podcast GPT you created.
I'll show it to you. I'll show it after this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. With that being said, things are changing. It's so quick right now with AI. I'm not even sure how you're keeping up with it because by the time you learn something, it's changed already. What is the future of AI that you're predicting at this point?
Well, I don't know about predicting, but I study a lot. I keep up. I listen to 2 to 3 really deep AI podcasts from people that move the needle with AI. But they're very technical. But just I put the lens on how does this apply to real estate? And most of it doesn't. It's just like fire hose, right? A lot of overwhelm, right? We talked about that. But I don't think you should feel FOMO that you're not keeping up with AI because nobody is. Okay, except maybe the few hundred people in Silicon Valley, maybe a few in China now, right? Outside of that, you're not going to keep up with AI. Don't worry about that. But what you should feel FOMO about is you should not be in the same place next year with embracing AI. You should be on your journey because there will be a separation season. So start with your processes like we talked about. Slowly ingest AI into your workflow. And maybe if you're concerned about the risk, I don't want it to kind of blow up, find an area where even if it blows up, it's not going to hurt anybody, right? So think through those things. Personal productivity is the number one benefactor with AI. initially for most of us, right? So as you start to look ahead, if you look at ChatGPT as an example, or even Google Gemini or Claude, all these large frontier large language models, initially it was just a collection of the internet resources. And then it was a prediction engine. And that's why it hallucinated sometimes, right? Now, all of these models are moving towards reasoning, which means they think about the answer almost like a human before they respond. And if you go to your paid ChatGPT account and pull the dropdown of all the models, anything that says O1, O3, that's a reasoning model. And Google just launched Gemini Deep Flash 2.0 experimental. They need to get better with these names, by the way. It's just tremendously confusing. Gemini 2.0 Flash thinking model. So it just sort of doesn't just spout out what it has but it kind of thinks about the response. So, which means they can do some of the things that humans can do. So, good example. Here's a way you play. We're talking about a digital workforce, also called as AI agents. Not to be concerned about real estate agents. These are AI agents that work on your behalf. So a good example I'll give you is if you have an iPhone, you should go download this. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's called Simple AI. It's a personal assistant. You can it'll make 30 calls for you per month for free. So I did this test not too long ago. I wanted to get a pedicure appointment. Okay. Peter, you like pedicures?
Sometimes, yeah.
In India, I said, I need to get a pedicure appointment Friday, 4 to 6. And I connected my personal Google Calendar to Simple AI. And I said, call up to 5 spas in my area. I gave it a price range and find me an appointment. And I didn't call them. I just prompted Simple AI in the chat window of the app. It made the calls for me and booked my appointment, and I didn't make the call.
Wow.
So this is not just a automation workflow. This is AI agents at work that is trained, because what the spa person is going to say may not be in the script. So it can be scripted, right? So there's some reasoning involved. So that's a simple example for you to embrace AI agents. We can put a link to the app in the show notes and play with it. And I think there's a lot there that you can uncover. What if you get, Sharif, I don't know if you get online leads. Here's a good example, right? Classic case for an AI agent to handle online leads, because it's a set workflow. Most agents don't like to call like cold leads, but they love warm leads. So I have an agent in New England that said they just ingested an AI agent in that workflow, warming up the lead, and then warm transfer to an agent on your team. So find areas there. So I think there's a lot that's going to happen in this space of agents. You do open houses. Maybe there's an AI agent that's focused on open houses. Your limitation is your creativity is the only limitation with AI. So as you go forward, play with AI agents in your personal life with Simple AI as an example, so you'll know what they're capable of. Everyone I've said that to that tried that app texted me afterwards and said, dude, this blew me away. We ordered a pizza, put their credit card in, and the pizza from their favorite pizza store showed up, and they didn't make the call.
Wow.
So it's, again, learning, embracing it, so you know what's coming.
I love that. Do you think this AI agent you can train it to write up contracts and all that stuff?
I don't think we're there yet, but I do think you could get it to such a finish line that you just eyeball it and send it. Because again, one of the things AI struggles with is data, but it's really good with data. Okay. So what I tell people is, if you have contracts that you've written, Peter, as an example, upload as many examples as you can to AI. So train the model. So what it comes out with is actually very close. That applies to even the prompting stuff that we talked about in the RISE expectations examples. And so if you upload examples, it's going to literally get you to the finish line. So I think we'll get there eventually, but human in the loop. I'm a big believer in that. AI is supposed to empower people to do their jobs better, their roles better, but it will change people's jobs for sure.
Definitely. I mean, Peter, you're currently testing an AI software right now, similar to AI agents. What is it called, by the way?
Forward Flow.
Nice, nice. I think it's analyzation of data in your CRM, and being to use AI agents to also communicate with the leads and breaking it down on an AI basis.
I'll tell you the other thing. You know this. You guys use Follow Bus, I think, right, Sharif?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
CRM,
Rajeev.
This is Follow Bus country. Okay. So CRMs traditionally have been a heavy lift for agents. Okay, no matter which one. Some are easier to use, some are not. But imagine if all of them have a voice component and I can simply talk to it and it does things in my CRM. That's game changing. Now you've sort of removed I know you need to upload your database. Once it's there, I talked to a company recently that's an AI company that basically integrates with CRMs, and it calls you every morning, hey, what do you plan to do today? And it just updates everything else in your CRM based on your conversation, right? So again, voice, everybody likes to talk. All real estate agents, if you're successful, you like to talk, but you may not be
Yeah.
good with technology.
Yeah.
And I think AI is going to normalize that in a way that people can embrace things more faster if you just become skilled with AI.
I know. I mean, we have a friend who's actually on our last podcast, and he's remember Peter Ben Lang. He said he actually, when on his way to the office, he pulls up Chat GPT and he literally talks to Chat GPT. I go just do it on the way to the office, but these are my goals, these are what my struggles were, this is everything I got done yesterday, this is what I really want to get done, and things of that nature. And I thought it was genius because Chat GPT just outputs, hey, here's what you did, basically summary, this is what your plan should be, this is the outlook. I was like, wow, man, that's using it on a different level. And it's really embracing AI to improve yourself, right? It's you're just making things not different, better. That's it. It's really what you got to concentrate on as well.
Yeah, the other day I was coming back from DC. I finished all my podcast listening. I still had 2 hours to go to get to home. I fired up advanced voice mode, ChatGPT, and I just learned about a topic that I was pretty stupid at, and it just educated me. I mean, you could use it for so many different things. It's just the voice mode is underutilized. It is crazy good. Yeah.
And that's through the app, right? The phone app.
What's that?
That's through the phone app.
App, you can download the ChatGPT app on your Mac. I have a Mac. You could do that. Even Perplexity that I talked about, all of them have a voice component now that is just tremendous.
That's great.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I guess what are your recommendations for real estate agents? How should they apply AI in their business right now? I know you mentioned a lot of things, but if you were to pick 1 to 3, what would be the top 3 that you feel like will make a huge swing in their business?
I think you need to do a time audit of how you spend your time. I'm actually doing a presentation preparation. I think you will get 10% productivity if you just throw stuff on the wall at ChatGPT. Okay, I think that's fair. But to get to 30 and 40%, you need to look at your time, 40, 50, 60, whatever time you're spending in your business, and say, where are my time sucks that are needed to do, or put stuff on there that you know you need to do that you're not doing because you don't have the time. And then identify those cases and then go after them. And if you need resources, there's tremendous resources. We can put some links into the show notes. I have an AI playbook that has been viewed thousands of times, and I update it every month. It's a great place to start. All the foundational stuff that we talked about, the apps, all those are listed. It's a 33-page document. That's a digital document. So start with a time audit of things you do that you know take time. The podcast one I talked about is an example in my life, but it may not be yours, but you all have time that's so I would start there, and then the tool will rise. But ChatGPT is a good foundation. Just play
Awesome.
with it. I think you'll be surprised. I think the only difference between listeners and us here on the pod is that we've just had way too many light bulb moments with AI, so we know what's possible.
Yeah,
Right? So just
for
have a few
sure.
light bulb moments.
I love that. And Rajeev, how can people find out more about you? And I know you have a podcast. What is it called? So this way they can go ahead and listen if they want to learn more about AI.
The podcast name is Real Estate AI Flash, 4 words, and it's available on all the channels, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and it's a weekly podcast. So click follow, and hopefully you'll be impressed with the content that's coming out every week.
That. And is there any other way that they can reach you if they have any questions, like social media, website, or anything like that?
So the best thing to do is just if you just Google my name, you'll probably find me. But if you go to realestateaiflash.com, I have a podcast website that has all the resources, my playbook, mastermind stuff, and my social channels is all there on that podcast site.
Awesome.
Real estate AI Flash, right, Rajeev?
realestateaiflash.com, just the name of the pod. Yeah, .com.
Beautiful. Everything there. Perfect. I love
Yes.
that. So efficient. You're always efficient,
I
Rajeev.
try.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, Rajeev. We really appreciate it. I mean, you're a pioneer basically in AI and just guiding everyone in the real estate industry on what's next. I really do appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and continue your great work. I mean, you guys are successful real estate agents, but you're also sharing and paying it forward. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing. So keep up your good work.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks again for your time. Take care.
Thanks. All right, guys. Bye.